Welcome to the Ride With Us podcast, presented by the American Coaster Enthusiasts, the world's largest ride enthusiast organization dedicated to the appreciation, promotion, and preservation of roller coasters around the globe. So please keep your hands and feet inside the podcast at all times as we welcome in your host.
Hello, enthusiasts. This is your host, Jessica Gardner. CoasterCon 47 took place in June in Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana. We visited 3 parks over 6 fun-filled days at Six Flags Great America in Illinois, Little Amerricka in Wisconsin, and Indiana Beach. Whether you missed it and want to hear all about it, or you were there and you want to relive it, I know I do, we are here to recap it for you. As always, if there's something specific you are looking to listen to, feel free to check out our show notes so you can jump to what you're looking for. But I have a feeling you're going to want to hear what these guests have to say about everything. With me are 3 brand new guests to the podcast. Please welcome Corey Brown, Johnny McWilliams, and Tori Sereika. Hello, guests. How are we doing? Johnny, let's start with you. I'd love to get to know you a little bit more and let our listeners get to know you. Where are you from? Where do you live?
I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
So your home park is?
Well, Carowinds is the big park, but Family Kingdom, home of the Swamp Fox, is actually the closest park to me.
Home of the Swamp Fox. I love that. Is there a sign that says Home of the Swamp Fox outside? What got you into coasters, Johnny?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, so obviously going to
is.
Cedar Point and Geauga Lake, I have to mention Geauga Lake, because there's a lot of history there. And growing up riding double loop and corkscrew and Big Dipper was definitely a piece of that history for me.
And how long have you been an ace?
Only 2 years.
Only 2 years? Is that right? Wow. And you already have a pretty interesting story that a lot of acers have found out about you. You were wearing a shirt at CoasterCon that said, let me get this right, 50 coasters for 50 years. Is that right?
Right.
Tell us about this 50 years.
Yeah, I turned 50 a week from tomorrow. So I wanted to ride 50 new coasters before I turned 50. So that began at the beginning of the year and ended just after CoasterCon.
Wait, so you already did it?
Yes, I've already completed 50.
Oh, so the shirt was to celebrate that you were just about to get it done?
Yes. So I didn't think I would actually get it done before CoasterCon, and it happened just after. So it was very fun to try to get it done before the birthday. And now I think I'm going to do it again before the end of the year.
So now, were these all brand new to you coasters? They
Correct.
were.
Yes.
50 all brand new to you coasters. What a fun idea. What gave you the idea?
Yeah, someone on our channels from Ace, someone else on Ace was doing 40 for 40. So that's where I got the idea from. And I said, I'm going to steal your idea. And he said, absolutely. Go ahead.
I like this. This needs to be a thing. I like this a lot. Maybe I'll just do that every year, whatever age I am. That's my goal. Does it have to be a milestone age? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, you're very active on ACE's Slack and in social media. So if anybody's on there, you look for Johnny McWilliams. You can find him on there. And Johnny, you what do you do for work? Do you mind talking about that on here?
No, I do marketing for companies, helping them with their digital marketing, getting on that first page of Google and helping them with their email, website, and all the socials.
That's so fun. Well, thanks for being on here today and talking to us about CoasterCon. Corey Brown. Corey, how's your day going so far?
It's been good. Had some work today. I'm actually a web manager for a nonprofit, so I did a little bit of that work today, but it's been a good one.
And Corey, tell everybody where you live. Where are you from?
I live in the DC suburbs, Germantown in particular. It's in the Mid-Atlantic region. So I'm just right outside DC.
And your park would be?
Technically, my home park is, I consider my home park Six Flags America, since it's right inside the Beltway. But I do have a family entertainment center called Adventure Park USA. That's about 20 minutes from my house. So you can consider that my home park as well. But I grew up going to Six Flags America quite often.
How are you feeling about everything this year with Six Flags America
It's
closing? It's got to be rough.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. I have memories over the last 20 years going for school trips, just general trips there. I've spent so many times riding many coasters there, so it's a little bittersweet to hear that it's going to be closing this year. But I guess all things end eventually. But it's been bittersweet.
Have you been a lot this summer? What's the vibe there right now? Are people still there? Is it a ghost town? What's it like?
It's actually been really good this year. I see a lot of people coming out to get their final rides, people who have been to the park for a while. I'm running into enthusiasts that have come down for a little pilgrimage to, ride the, coasters, ride Wild one last time. So park's actually been pretty busy for the most part. A lot of people are sad, but they're excited to get their final rides in. A lot of people are coming down to get Batwing and other rare coasters. So
Yeah. What got you into coasters in the first place?
So I grew up going to other parks in the region as well. So my dad took me to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg a lot when I was younger. My family would go there, have pretty vivid memories of standing on one of the bridges that overlooks Big Bad Wolf, and remember standing there with my mom watching my dad and brother ride Big Bad Wolf and thinking that was the coolest thing in the world. So I've been wanting to kind of go back. As I got older, I was like, I'm gonna go back and ride that when I'm older, and I did. So it kind of got me into the hobby a bit, and then yeah, through the years going on school trips, going to different parks in the region, and then also just doing a lot of Roller Coaster Tycoon. Growing up, I played that game pretty religiously, so it got me really, really into the hobby a lot.
And how long have you been an ace?
I've been since 2012, I believe.
2012.
So going on 13 years. Yeah.
Corey, if anybody ever meets you, I would say that they'd usually think that you're kind of like maybe more of like a quiet guy in person, like maybe seem a little like introverted, unless you see Corey Brown on a coaster. And then this man, every picture, every like candid of you on a coaster, you're grinning ear to ear. You look like you're having the time of your life. I feel like you're truly like the true version of an enthusiast. Do you
Yeah,
get that a lot?
I do.
Do you
I
know
feel
that about yourself?
yeah, people always kind of, I guess, underestimate me in the terms of like, yeah, I do come off as kind of quiet in a lot of scenarios, but yeah, especially when I'm on a roller coaster, I just let it all out. I think it's my time just to show people that I'm here, excited, ready to ride. Yeah, the enthusiastic side of me comes out definitely on roller coasters. So
Also, I follow you on social media and at least on Facebook especially. I love the breakdowns you do. What do you call them? Where you kind of go through trips like you're smiling and laughing right
yeah,
now.
yeah. So a few years ago, I started to do like a little cheeky recap of my adventures through the different coaster cons, and it's also other things I've done in conjunction with coaster cons. I hit other parks along the way, but yeah, I do a little thing of like best coaster, best road food, best flat ride, just like funny little cheeky things that people have really kind of appreciated. So I kind of keep it going, and I did one for this year that I think a lot of people enjoyed. So
We might have to link to it if you'd be willing to share it. We might have to link to it in our show notes. The one about CoasterCon, if you have one about CoasterCon.
yeah,
So,
I definitely can.
do you remember any of your CoasterCon thoughts that you had in your
Um,
list that you can say?
it was a lot. I mean, I think at the top of the list was just, my experience with Voyage, which I'm sure we'll talk about with PostCon. And again, I like to put in things about just cities I visited and best food get me from one place to the next. I had some really good ice cream that was just life changing on my way from Little Amerricka to Indiana Beach, but we'll talk more.
What was it? No, I need to hear it right
It
now.
was it was ice cream from a little like a little roadside, I guess, creamery somewhere in northern Wisconsin, and surprisingly, it was licorice flavored. Which a lot of people would look at you and be like licorice, but
Oh,
I had to tell you it was amazing. Like it just somehow the flavors and driving on the road with one hand with a cone and leather on the wheel. It was an experience within itself.
that's the vibe. I like it. The
Yeah,
licorice ice cream vibe. Well, all right. I'm gonna
yeah,
need we'll have to find the name of that creamery and link it
yeah.
in the show notes as well. And last but not least, we've got Tori Sereika. Tori, I know you are a brand new member of ACE, right? You just joined this year.
Yep, I just joined in April specifically to go to con.
Yes. And tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I'm in the suburbs now, but so Great America is my home park that I grew up at. I'm about an hour and a half from Indiana Beach as well, so I can sneak over to there too pretty easily, but definitely grew up at Great America.
You are lucky, as we have all learned, that that is a great area. So, but what made you want to join ACE because of CoasterCon happening at your home park?
I actually saw things about no Coaster Con first, just popping up on my feed, like information that parks were talking about that were going to be coming up in like the upcoming season, and wanted to go to that. And then when I was Googling about no Coaster Con, found Ace and then saw Coaster Con and was like, that's actually what I really want to do. And I thought it would be a great first con to go to closer to home, so I didn't have to invest in a bunch of hotels.
True. Yeah.
And it worked out great. I had so much fun.
That's so great. It was so nice to meet you and see your smiling face running around. And you came solo, right? And so you really just met everybody at con.
I did. Yep. First con, I went solo.
Any advice for people going solo to their first ACE event after going to Coaster Con, which is the biggest one, as your first event?
Definitely go to the orientation. I had met people at the orientation and we were chatting right after, and we just went straight to the park together. So it was a really great way to kind of pick up some buddies before heading to the park. And then once you're at the park and you're at the ERTs, it's so easy to meet people online and you make so many friends so fast.
I agree. Same here. I went basically solo to my first ACE event and had a very similar experience. You just kind of have to take a deep breath and say that first hello, and then usually you end up finding your people. So, what got you into coasters originally, Tori? Was there something that made you an enthusiast?
There wasn't really like one big aha moment for me, but we would have a field trip at the park every year with school, and I always had a good time at that. But that's when I was younger and I couldn't really get on any of the bigger rides. Once I was in middle school, one of my older cousins took me to the park and brought me on all of the big rides for the first time, and I just loved it. Could not get enough. And then as soon as I started driving, I got a season pass. I had a job, so I could buy my season pass, and a couple of my friends had them too, and we were there like every weekend.
Nice. Yeah, gotta love those family members. It's always like someone, not always, but when it's that someone that kind of got you on that first ride, there's always like a special memory involved with that. So that's so great. And in your real life, what do you do, Tori?
I am a marketing programs coordinator at a nonprofit. It's at one of the local zoos. I do the animal adoption program mostly, which is a very fun little job and a fun place to work.
That is so cool. So you get to sort of promote like what's happening with the zoo and all the different adoptions that are coming in.
So it's a symbolic program. You like symbolically adopt an animal, you make a donation to the zoo, and then you're supporting that animal. The money goes towards the care of the animal that you're adopting.
Oh my
You get like
gosh.
you get a little certificate of adoption saying that you adopted them, a photo of the animal. We're very busy at the holidays.
Maybe Ace can adopt an animal. We can have like a mascot.
We could.
We could name them Ace or something. I don't know. We'll pitch it to the we'll pitch it. We'll pitch it to the fundraising team and see the donations. Well, thank you so much, Tori, for being on here and taking the time. And yeah, we're happy to have you on here and happy to have you join ACE. So let's get into it. The way that I usually like to cover an event is starting from the top and just going all the way through it, breaking it all down. So for those who don't know, we did have our sort of home base on day one at Six Flags Great America at Great Wolf Lodge in Gurnee. I stayed there. This was my very first Great Wolf Lodge I'd ever stayed at. And I had the best time. First of all, what a great bunch of hosts the Great Wolf Lodge was to have this crazy water park and Magic Quest and the rock climbing wall and the ropes course, the Dunkin' Donuts in the hotel. This was a great place to stay. And I know there were a lot of other Acers who stayed there for the very first time, but I can just say this was such a fun, the fact that the hotel was almost kind of like a park in itself, so that any sort of downtime, you could also go back to the park, go back to your hotel, and it was also something fun to do. I had a blast. I got a wand. I went all around. I did the arcade. I won something in the claw machine. I was living my best life as with the little Great Wolf Lodge ears and everything. So shout out to the Great Wolf Lodge. That was where check-in and registration and the tables were. Johnny, was this your first Coaster Con, or had you been to one before?
This is my second.
Your
So I
second
went,
Coaster Con.
yes.
So any thoughts on the registration? Did you get to look around at any of the tables?
No, because I decided to volunteer this time. And so I was at the table because I wanted to be that guy who's giving you the t-shirt as you're checking in. And so I volunteered with Jess Nemick, and it was so much fun to be behind the table and handing out those t-shirts to everybody coming in.
So you get to meet so many people. Thanks for
Yes.
volunteering. And
Yeah.
also, hot tip, great way to meet a bunch of
Mhm.
people by volunteering. Corey, did you get to see any of the tables, any of the vintage things that people were selling, or the SNS blueprints?
I did. I got to see quite a bit. I actually ran into Johnny. He was over by the table, like you said, handing out shirts, so we got to interact a little bit. But yeah, I got to go around, look at some of the stuff that people were selling. The blueprints are really cool. I thought that was a really nice touch this year. Got to really take a look and see kind of what was going on there. And it's just a massive merch table for Ace items and good legacy of Source Golf and things like that. It was really cool. It was very filled registration this year. I felt like there was things that people could check out while they were also picking up their badges and stuff. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was just in the one room, but it had so much stuff going on all throughout. Like Tori said earlier, the orientation was happening over in another room, but check-in was in the room, and right away it was like, there's our diversity, equity, and inclusion table. There's SNS. Preston Perks from SNS is right there. You can meet him, and he's got arrow blueprints from Six Flags. Tori, did you get to see any of those? As that being your home park, to be able to see some of those blueprints, did you get to check any of those out?
I did, and it was very cool getting to see them. I did not expect any of that to be there. I knew there would be merch. I knew there would be tables to check in for the various things that we had going on. But it was very, very cool to get to see the blueprints.
Yeah, it was so cool to see all of those and blueprints and SNS. Preston, if you're listening, thank you for coming again. You're always so generous, showing all of that, knowing your audience very well, that we are the audience that would want to see all of the arrow blueprints that you have. And you've just been so generous with sharing those with us whenever you come, and being willing to nerd out on them with all of us. Also, to all the people who were able to get a table and sell some of their own collections. That was so fun. I walked away. I always go crazy at these things because I'm such a vintage nerd. And I walked away with ticket stubs and pins and different people. Oh my gosh, I went crazy. I know someone got vintage t-shirts there and so many park maps. It was so much fun and such a great way to kick off the week. But it wasn't truly it was the official kickoff to the week, but the unofficial kickoff to the week was pre-con, as we called it, and it was over at Bay Beach. Corey, I know you were there because I've seen a picture of you smiling on Zip and Pippin. Johnny, you were there as well. Tell me a little bit about how this was. What went down? What was this day like?
It was a nice one. It was up at Bay Beach amusement park, and I had heard many great things about this park, but had never really been. But we were able to, obviously get morning ERT on Zip and Pippin, and I think for a lot of individuals who were there, their first visit, we went into this ride not knowing much about it. We knew it was kind of historic in a way and that it had kind of been rebuilt, but like we were just kind of like, okay, like how's this ride really going to be? I think for me personally, having that morning RT and ride in Zippin' Pippin was just magical. It's a very zippy coaster, as you expect it to be, with a very unexpected ending that a lot of people I think enjoyed. But I think it was a great way just to kind of start the week of CoasterCon. I think having this very historic roller coaster was, to me, a way that I think all CoasterCon should kind of start. So it was just a really good way. And the park itself was really beautiful. Well maintained, a lot of small vintage rides. They're doing a lot of expansion to put newer stuff in. It's a very cute little park. I really enjoyed it.
May I say that Wisconsin is Wisconsin? I didn't know Wisconsin is like the place for these crazy roller coasters. May I say that the pre-con, which started off at the Wisconsin Dells Mountain Coaster, and I met this guy who was riding a roller coaster too, named Corey. First time I ever met this guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to CoasterCon too." I'm like, I never even knew Corey until I rode with him on Wisconsin Dells Mountain Coaster. So it was good to meet you there. Then Wisconsin Dells, obviously, and riding, Hades 360, then Zippin' Pippin, which I was blown away because watching YouTube videos of Zippin' Pippin over the years, I heard about this ejector death hill. That's what YouTubers call it. And I was like, okay, ejector death hill. What's the big deal? No big deal. Oh, no, it's a big deal. It is the most sudden. It is unreal the way this coaster ends. And I don't know if it was exactly the way Elvis rode it back in Libertyville, which is, his favorite coaster. But it is definitely one to remember for the ages. It was my 34th coaster in the 50 for 50. And it was definitely one of them that I mark as one of the most special.
When I was checking in at Great Wolf and I saw other Acers coming back or coming from Bay Beach that night, vibes were high. Everybody was talking about what an amazing day that they had just had. And everybody that missed it, myself included, is kind of sad about it because it sounds like it was just a really great day. Wasn't there something else that happened there?
Yeah, there was a Q&A later on in the afternoon. So after we had a morning ERT, we got to kind of explore and ride the vintage train, things like that. But there was a moment later on, right before the event, I guess, officially ended, although there was no official ending. We got to do Q&A with the, I believe it was the general manager of the park, and he just kind of explained what historically had been done over the years and how they were looking towards the future and some of the things they wanted to do. So it was a nice little 20-minute, 30-minute Q&A with them. So
nice. Oh, I'm so sad I missed it. Maybe we'll have to get him on the podcast or something in the future and be able to break that park down with him in the best way. So, well, thanks for letting us know about that. I'm just going to be mad that I didn't get to ride it myself. But let's go to now the official day one of CoasterCon, Six Flags Great America. Tori, you're a little biased, so I'm not going to ask you this question. But to Johnny and Corey, overall thoughts on this park. As a refresher, there were 17 coaster credits available. American Eagle, Intamin Wooden Coaster, Batman, the OG Batman, the B&M Invert, Dark Knight, which is the Mack Wild Mouse, Demon, the Aero Looper, Flash Vertical Velocity, the Intamin Impulse, Goliath, the RMC Topper Track, Joker, the SNS 40 Free Spin, Little Dipper from PTCI, Max Force, the SNS Air Launch Coaster, which we're going to have to get a whole conversation going about that, Raging Bull, the B&M Hyper, Sprocket Rockets, which is the Vekoma Junior Coaster, Superman Ultimate Flight, the B&M Flying, Viper, the Six Flags, PTCI, I don't know what to call Viper, Whizzer, the Schwarzkopf Speed Racer, Wrath of Rakshasa, of course, the brand new B&M Dive, and X-Flight, the B&M Wing Coaster. In my opinion, tell me if you agree with me, 17 solid coaster credits. Johnny, Corey, where are you at with this?
It is definitely a place that I love to go. I actually lived in Chicago for 10 years, so I went to the park quite a bit before this. And Raging Bull is still my favorite, just saying. But there's not a bad coaster in there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Raging Bull, top tier B&M. I was excited to get a chance to ride that. I had been to the park about 10 years prior, but it was in passing, so I didn't really get a chance to ride Raging Bull at that time. I was sort of just passing through. So to be able to like revisit the park and get all the credits this time and ride Raging Bull was just amazing. I truthfully really was most excited to ride Flash. I love Inman Impulses. They're some of my favorite rides out there. And I was excited that we had ERT on it. It was nighttime. Like it was a beautiful experience. But yeah, the park overall, I have to say it's a top tier park. Everything about that park and the rides are solid.
All right, Tori, I'm going to let you weigh in now. What do you think of your home park?
I think that I am so lucky to have grown up with this park. It's so well-rounded. There's so many coasters. They're all great coasters. I genuinely love it so much. It's such a great park.
You're definitely lucky. I guess I'm the only one that this was my first time there. I had such a great time. Obviously, you walk in and there's a double carousel, and I've got a little bit of like flashes of California's Great America. You just can't get over it. Like you really can't. It's so funny. It's having to sort of rearrange it in your mind, just like when you go to Magic Kingdom, Disneyland, like, right? Like you're just sort of adjusting where everything is. Do you agree, Johnny?
I posted pictures of that carousel onto the National Carousel Association website on the Facebook page, and they said, "Isn't that California?" I'm like, "No, this is in Illinois." And they were like, "But no, that looks like the one in California." I'm like, "No, it really is in Illinois." And they didn't realize, people who live in California don't realize there's like an identical, twin park, really, with the Great America. And so that carousel is so beautiful, and they've taken good care of it.
It's a beautiful park. I love the layout of it. And it's huge. Oh my gosh, telling someone you're going to meet them over at Goliath. I'll see you in 30 minutes. I mean, it's massive. But really great. And that new Wrath of Rakshasa being right where it is sort of feels like it kind of just fits and belongs there with all the other coasters. So we have to get into that. But before we do, I was able to do an interview with Rachel Kendziora, the Regional Public Relations Manager of Midwest Six Flags Park. She talked to me a little bit about her background, about the history of the park, and we went into the opening of Wrath of Rakshasa and the future of Six Flags Great America. Take a listen. It's day one of CoasterCon. It's my first time here. We've had an amazing day so far. But before we get into that, I'd love for you to just tell us all a little bit more about yourself. How did you get to where you are today?
Oh, that's a
big question. I guess the first question, of course, is, are you a coaster enthusiast?
So that's a hard question, because I would say generally I am not as much of a coaster enthusiast, but I think something I've learned while working here, I started working here in 2018. And actually, it's so funny. I started here as an intern in public relations and marketing. Yeah. And I got this internship kind of by accident. Well, not by accident, but I remember coming here as a kid and really loving it. I have such fond memories of spending my childhood here with my family.
Yeah.
We're local, and people are having fun. And so I had such fond memories of coming here as a kid and
riding the log flume.
Riding the log flume, exactly. And so when I saw this internship, I was like, oh, this could be fun. But I really had no expectation of what it would be like to work here. Or again, I was familiar with the rides here and have memories from when I was a kid. And so I got the internship and I went in with no expectations. I just knew I loved public relations, and I think this would be a fun place to exercise that, right? And kind of hone in my skills in public relations. And so I interned here this summer before I went back to school for my senior year, and I absolutely loved it. It was just so eye-opening in terms of, our entire business is making fun for other people. And so to have a part in that was just totally eye-opening for me. And so I interned here. I loved it. I went back to school for my senior year, and then right out of college, I got a full-time job at Hurricane Harbor Rockford, where I did a little bit of marketing. So less PR, more marketing. So I got to kind of touch on a lot of different things, signage and branding and stuff I wasn't, totally used to. And so I did that for about a year. And then in 2020, right before COVID, I came over to Six Flags Great America as a communications specialist. And my job has evolved a little bit ever since. But to go back to your question of, am I a coaster enthusiast? I think I'm probably not your traditional coaster enthusiast, but what I'm enthusiastic about is being able to have part in making this experience for other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's what gets me really excited and
That
enthusiastic.
counts as an enthusiast.
I think it
People
does.
ask me all the time, they're like, oh, if I'm a coaster enthusiast, does it mean I need to ride as many coasters as you all do? It's like, well, are you enthusiastic about them? Do you love them? Do you love the experience? Do you love theme parks? Like, all of that counts. So,
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've moved up pretty fast in doing everything that you've done. I know there's a lot of people who would love to have a job like yours. Can you give any advice?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I think my biggest piece of advice is to just continue to be, I guess, positive and passionate. I think something that keeps me going and something that I found to be really successful for myself is looking at things glass half full rather than glass half empty, because I think that keeps my perspective really fresh and really motivated. So I would say for somebody who wants to not even necessarily be in my position, but somebody who wants to, work in an environment like this, I would say, continue to be passionate and exercise your passion. And, I really think the chips fall where they're supposed to in terms of, where you want to end up. And working in a place like this, you have to be positive and you have to want to have fun. I mean, our whole business is making fun for other
business
people.
of fun.
Totally. So being able to have fun and be passionate about that is really important.
So let's get to Six Flags Great America, because that's why we're here. My first time here, what a great park. I went in with I really didn't try to research the park too much, but I've had such a great day here so far. And we have 2 more days ahead of us, which I'm really excited about. But what is it that you want people to know about Six Flags Great America?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think this is going to sound really PR-y, but I really think there's something here for everybody. And let me dive into that a little bit. So for myself, I'm a big thrill ride person. But I'm a big thrill ride person, but I have favorites. So I like Raging Bull, because Raging Bull is just unbelievable. It's a major thrill, but I don't get off Raging Bull being like, oh, I could only do that once. Like, to me, it's so re-rideable. I like other major thrills, like Ratha Rakshasa. We just opened a couple of weeks ago, and that to me was so much fun. But at the same time, one of my absolute favorites here is Wizard.
Yes.
It's a Wizard. Like, it may not be like the biggest thrill we have, but to me, the thrill I get riding it is one of the biggest,
I loved riding it through the woods and the beautiful sights that you see. It doesn't, from far away, you're like, oh, I'm not really sure what I'm going to feel like about that. But I was like, I'm a bird flying through the swamp.
Totally. And the fact that you can share the ride experience a little bit differently too.
Yeah.
Like, when you're on Raging Bull, you're sitting 4 across. But when you're on Wizard, if you want to ride with somebody, you can.
Yeah.
And it's just a totally different ride experience. And so I think what I really like about our park is there's such a variety of things for different thrill seekers, whether you're a junior thrill seeker or a major thrill seeker, or you're just looking for like the thrill of riding a classic like the Wizard, So I would say there really is something here for everyone.
We were having a conversation in one of the queues that there doesn't seem to be, and excuse me for saying this, but there doesn't seem to be a bad coaster in this park. Like, it's just a really good collection of good coasters. There's nothing that would make any enthusiasts like low 10 list, you know what I mean? We have those lists, let's be honest, we have them. And nothing here is like that. I think that's just it's seemingly just a really good mix of coasters, and then the flat rides look really amazing. And I want to get into the history of the park a little bit. Is it true that next year is the 50th?
That is
anniversary?
True. Yes. So the park opened in 1976. So next year we will be celebrating our 50 years, which is just crazy. We're really excited about it. I can't give away too much about it yet because we're still a little bit early. But oh my gosh, we are so excited.
Some things potentially going to be announced?
Some things are potentially going to be announced. Yeah.
We're going to celebrate.
We're going to celebrate. Yeah. It's going to be a really fun year. And I think something that's been the most fun, honestly, for myself, knowing what's coming up next year is also hearing from so many people who visited the park in 1976 and have kind of seen it evolve in the last 50 years. And so for me, that's been a really fulfilling experience. Like, I know what we have in store, and So to hear kind of how that plays into so many people's memories here over the last 50 years has been really cool. It's been just very like enriching.
Right.
Yeah.
Those coasters in the park that have history have some of them have a landmark status.
That's true.
So ACE landmark status belongs to two coasters currently in this park. That would be Whizzer, which we just talked about, Batman, because Batman was the very first B&M invert ever. This was like the Batman that started all the inverts, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's also, if I remember correctly, it's the fastest coaster to ever get an ACE landmark status because of that. I mean, in the short time between like 92 when it opened and 1999, I think there was something like 57 inverts or things like that. My numbers might be off, but it's something crazy like that it really truly started it all. And then tomorrow something exciting is happening. You're going to tell everybody about it?
So I'm really excited. So tomorrow we will be basically awarding the American Eagle as an ACE landmark, which, oh my gosh, I am so excited. I've never been a part of like the actual designation of a landmark to a ride before. And so to be able to be part of that tomorrow is going to be, so amazing.
In a park you grew up going to, you'll be able to come back years from now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the American Eagle, we're hoping, keeps being preserved and running as well as it is. So
I'm so excited. I'm really excited, and I hope that the appreciation for the ride can continue because it is truly one of a kind. I mean, I hear a lot of people say it was my first major coaster, and a lot of people say, no, it wasn't my first major coaster, but it's my favorite. And I'm just so excited. It's going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
So now by the
Thank
time
you.
this comes out, it probably already will have happened. And we'll, of course, be sharing all of that on our social medias through ACE. So check out Ride with ACE everywhere. And now we have to talk about Wrath of Rakshasa.
Yeah.
Okay, this was big this year. You released a coaster. Tell us about this experience.
Okay, I could talk about this experience for a long time, so I won't bore you with the details. But for me personally, I've been on this project for like almost 2 years now, and so to really see it from start to finish come to life has been so fulfilling and so rewarding. And so yeah, we started the process just a couple years ago, and it's so interesting because when we were looking at where the ride was going to go, one of the big points that we wanted to highlight was that it was going right across from our classic Demon coaster. And so when we were kind of playing with theming ideas and name ideas, that was one thing we kept coming back to is, it's in the county fair section of the park, but how do we kind of play off or complement the Demon right across the way? And so we had a couple of workshopping sessions, and Rakshasa was brought to the table. And I remember at first I was like, okay, sure. And the more we kind of played with what the story was and what it meant to the area and how we complemented the Demon across the way, the more we talked about it, the more it just made perfect sense. So it started with that, we picked kind of what the theme was going to be, and we talked about the story behind it and how it was going to fit into the area. And then the next phase of that was like, okay, then what does it look like to us? What do the colors look like, and what does the queue look like, and how do we tell that story? And so that was a really, I don't want to say it was an immersive experience, but it was really cool to just dive into something like that you really don't get to dive into often,
Yeah.
You don't get to put in a new ride, all that often. So it was kind of just building on that. What is the story behind the ride, and what does that mean the ride looks like to us? And so, we looked at so many different color options and color schemes, and we eventually ended up with that like royal blue, gold, maroon. And oh my God, I could not be more happy with how it turned out. And it's just beautiful. And I had the luxury of riding it a couple times in a row a couple weeks ago, and that spot, front row, middle of the front row, when you like just creep over the dive and you're hanging there, it's like just unbelievable. And to me, it's just so re-rideable too. You get such a different experience riding in such different spots on the train. And to me, the front middle was just amazing. And then actually just 2 days ago, I rode back row all the way to the right, and that was such a totally different experience. And Yeah, long story short, it's been such a fun process, and it's our first new coaster in 6 years since Max Force. So to be part of it from start to finish was like totally rewarding.
Such a cool experience.
Yeah.
And I have to say, a lot of people were commenting today on how well it seems to fit also structurally in that area. Not just with the theming, but it just looks like it's been there for years. And it's almost like, wait, which one is the new one?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but in a good way, that it doesn't stand out or make the park look, you know what I mean? Like it sticks out like a sore thumb or something like that. It really sort of fits with everything. And of course, I love a good theme and all of that. So
it's crazy. Like the first time we sort of saw it going vertical, it was in the winter time, but still, like when you round the corner, like by the County Fair Games Gallery, and you're kind of walking towards it, and you're like, whoa, like this is incredible. And then on the other hand, you're coming through the front gate and you're kind of walking into Hometown Square, and then you kind of turn the corner by Strutters, and it's like the drop is right there, and oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. And I feel like it really fits as a great centerpiece to our whole park, and it really is centerpiece to all of our thrills here.
It's right there in the center, and it just looks like it belongs there.
It's incredible.
It just makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense. It's really cool.
So what's the future of Six Flags Great America? Like there are things I'm sure you can't tell us, but what do you see, or what would you like to see? I'm sure that's two different questions. First, answer, what do you know, like what do you see for the future of this park?
That's such a good question. I think there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of growth for our park. You know, we're in a really great area. We're nestled literally right between Chicago and Milwaukee. And I think, kind of like I said earlier, this park has a lot of history in terms of being a lot of people's first theme parks and a lot of people's first roller coasters. And so I think, you know, this is a special place to a lot of people. And I think, I guess to kind of answer all your questions, what I know, what I hope for, and what I personally would love to see is growth. You know, there's a lot of room for growth, and a lot of room to really maximize on the nostalgia and the history of this park, and I'm excited for it.
So would you like to see expansion? By growth, do you mean expansion, or do you mean more in terms of adjusting what's already here, or what's?
I guess. Oh my gosh,
you can dream big.
If I could dream big.
This is all, you know, unofficial.
Okay.
It's your park, Rachel.
Let's just say
it's yours.
Ooh.
As a fan of the park, and also someone from public's perspective, like,
I guess I would love, well, the thrill side of me, it was like, okay, let's throw in another major coaster. Are you kidding me?
Always has as many coasters as possible.
Yeah, so the thrill side of me says, let's put in another major coaster, because Rock the Rakshasa was such a adrenaline rush this year. The more relaxed side of me says I would love to see another like Wizard type family coaster, something that's like, it's really thrilling, but it's thrilling because it's just so enjoyable, you know? Mm-hmm. So I think I would toy between another major thrill ride and another just like enjoyable family coaster that I could ride over and over and just laugh my head off. So that's what I would like to see.
And I'm hoping also that also means preserving the beautiful landmark coasters that you have.
I sure hope so.
That's always very important to us.
Yeah,
so.
I would be pretty devastated if anything happened to my baby wizard.
It's not going anywhere. Hopefully.
Yeah. I hope that we could have another one like Wizard. I think that'd be cool.
Well, that's so great to hear. It's so good to be here at this park and to absorb it all and finally see what everybody's been talking about. And is there anything else that you want our audience to know that we haven't talked about?
Oh my gosh. I would say, if there's something I want the audience to know, I would say if you haven't visited Great America, Six Flags Great America yet, I think pull the trigger and do it. It's really, it's just like for our team that works here, like it's such a family atmosphere, and everybody here is really passionate about the park, and you can tell that in what everybody does here. And I think if you haven't visited yet, it's definitely worth a visit, and especially now, we just opened a brand new major coaster, record-breaking dive coaster. So if you haven't made it out, I would come check it out either this year or next year to help us celebrate our 50th.
and for the 50th anniversary. I can't wait to see what you all have in store for us for the 50th. Rachel, thank you so much for talking to us today. We really appreciate it, and looking forward to an amazing rest of the week here at CoasterCon. Will we see you around?
I sure hope so. I'm excited. It's going to be a fun week.
Let's ride a roller coaster together, shall we? Tori, do you want to talk about Wrath of Rakshasa?
I would love to. I was so excited for it to open, and it just lived up to everything that I wanted it to be. It's only the second dive coaster that I've been on, but it's fantastic. The pacing is incredible. It's just, it's such a fun ride, especially if you can get into the front row. It's fantastic in the front row.
That first night, we had night ERT on American Eagle, Goliath, X-Flight, Raging Bull, and Sky Striker, along with Fiddler's Fling and Giant Drop. Sky Striker, y'all. Did everybody do Sky Striker? Johnny's shaking his head no. I did it. It was my first pendulum ride. I had never done it. We have Crazy here in my home park, and I have never hit Six Flags Magic Mountain, and I have never done it because I have no interest in that. Put me on any roller coaster in the world, but anything that goes about like a pirate ship, I'm not interested. But I figured I had to do, if I was going to do one, I have to do Sky Striker. One, because it's the world's tallest. So if you're going to do one, you might as well do the tallest one. And of course, it was named by ACE member Ella Wadalick, Sky Striker. She named the flat ride itself. So I told her I'm going to do it, and I got on it. That is insane. It is. I don't. I'm going to stick to. I'll probably do Crazy now because I feel like if I do Sky Striker, I can do anything. Anybody agree with me on this? That this is that's an insane ride.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've ridden so many different pendulum rides in my life, but this one, it just hits new heights. It's the height you get on it, just the force of it. It's something different. I was just like, wow. I got off and I was like, I can't go back and ride any other pendulum. This is like just amazing right now. Like I want this in my home park. Yeah, it's definitely a whole new league above the rest, I think.
You're just hanging upside down so high. For even when you think you're like, that's got to be it, right? That's as high as it'll go. And then it just keeps going higher. And then it goes for like 5 swings longer than you feel like it needs to go. But amazing. And yeah, absolutely crazy. I rode it at night. Whew, whew. Once was enough. Once was enough. But now I feel like I can do them anywhere. Let's talk about the meetups, because day one was when some of the meetups started. For those who have never been to CoasterCon or SpringCon, PresCon, something that ACE always likes to do is have little meetups. They are optional, just as everything is at all of the events. Nothing is really ever mandatory that you have to attend. I remember President Elizabeth Ringus telling me the first time that I went, remember that CoasterCon is a buffet, and you're not supposed to eat absolutely everything at the buffet. You pick and choose what you want, customize your plate so it's right for you. So behind the scenes experiences, presentations, Q&As, everything is optional. One of the things, though, that is optional are meetups, such as the different regions have their meetups. There's a young adult meetup, a teen meetup, people who volunteer, people who are on the spectrum, mature acers, Pride, Solo to Con, there's a women's ride. So did anybody get to do any of the meetups? Tori, for your first time, did you end up going to any of the meetups?
I did. I went to the young adult meetup at Max Force on that first night, and it's such a great way, again, to meet new people. If it's your first time going to con, go to the meetups. You're going to meet people when you're there. You have people to ride with, people to sit with, and then people to just hang out for the rest of the day.
How about you, Corey? Are you a meetups person?
I have over the years. I've gone to a lot of the young adult ones and other, regional ones. I actually inadvertently ran into the young adult meetup this year. I was actually standing in line I was getting in line for Max Force and ran into the young adult meetup, so I kind of just joined. But it's I'm a little bit older now these days. I don't know if I consider myself a young adult anymore, but it was nice just to kind of see the group there and really see the camaraderie that these meetups bring. So. But yeah, it was good to see that. And I went to the Mid-Atlantic meetup over by Goliath. And so it was nice just to see sort of the members who had come all the way out there alongside me to be at this con. So I enjoy them. I think it's a good way to talk to people, get to know them a little bit better, and really just ride along. So,
Johnny, how about you?
Yeah, so last year there was my first Coaster Con, and I went to every meetup and ran myself ragged. So this year I decided not to do that, and I actually led a meetup. The first time there has been a veterans meetup where all of we could celebrate our heroes and people in the military. So I did that actually at the inn in Indiana Beach, which we haven't gotten to yet. But that was one of the few meetups I did this year.
Do we have a lot of veterans in ACE? I'm sure we do, but I was wondering how many people came to that meetup?
Yeah, it wasn't very many because it was at an odd time. It was right at the beginning of the Indiana Beach where people were kind of slowly getting there. But there are quite a few veterans actually in ACE, so I think that we will get more as we do that more often now.
Yeah. And to anybody listening, thank you for your service. We appreciate that. And yeah, I love that you did that. So thanks for volunteering and doing that. I did them myself. And what some people don't realize is you don't have to be a young adult to attend the young adult meeting. So as long as you support young adults, if you support women, you can come to the women's ride. If you, are an ally, then come to the Pride meetups. And in fact, there's usually an incentive to go to as many as possible. I believe this year it was a sparkly gem on your badge or something for how many that you had gone to. And then there were some people who won, they put all the names of the people who had been to the most, and they walked out with some ACE merch at the end of con, which was really cool. So that's just another way I think that ACE brings people together at these events, and I really enjoy going to them. Day 2 was the day that behind the scenes experiences started. We had on day 2 a Raging Bull infield tour, Batman the Ride infield tour, a backstage corridor walk, and a maintenance tour. Corey, I know you went to the Raging Bull infield tour. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we were there early in the morning to go see the infield and sort of get a tour of seeing the coaster, and sort of different areas of it, which was really cool. I enjoy morning tours for the fact that it's kind of a very serene experience. No one's in the park and the ride isn't really riding, but you can kind of go in between the many different areas that, you normally wouldn't be able to go. I remember for this tour, there was a lot of people who were going in between, sort of the track a little bit, just kind of pop up and say, hey, hello, take a picture, which is kind of cool. So it's just very, very peaceful way to kind of see the backstage of everything. But what was cool about this is they actually gave us a bonus. We got to go into the Viper area. So we actually got to walk through the structure over there. And there was actually one of the maintenance men who were there in the morning kind of walking the track. So to be able to see kind of what they do every morning before the park opens, I thought was a really cool experience. I hadn't really seen that before. So yeah, between those two, we got like a nice 30-minute walkthrough and some really good photo and video opportunities. So it was exciting.
I love behind the scenes tours during events. I think that they're a perk that, the regular general public doesn't get. And we get that included as part of this event. Again, an optional thing. You usually do have to make sure that you sign up ahead of time. So if you do sign up for an event, make sure you're watching for when those emails come out and the registration begins. But they're really just more of a unique way, even if it is your home park, to see a different side of the park. And I always look forward to those. And Corey, you did that too, right? Can you tell me a little bit about the maintenance tour?
It was incredible. I think that was probably my favorite thing that I got to do at Great America, since I have been to the park so many times. Getting to see another side of it that I've never seen before was very cool. We walked into the maintenance shed first, and there were like trains in various states of disassembly. There was the Teal Raging Bull train back there that's getting its annual maintenance done. There were some whizzer cars that were back there. There was all sorts of just super cool things, even seeing like all the different motors or seeing all the different types of oil that they're using on all the rides was very cool. And then we went to the storage shed, there was a demon train that was back there. There were a bunch of water dummies on a pallet back there. There was a car for the Dark Knight, more disassembled wizard trains. There was wizard trains just everywhere.
I wonder
We
why
also,
it needs that much maintenance. What do you think? I don't know.
I,
Did they say?
They didn't say. I guess it used to run, I believe, 5 trains, and it only runs 2 now. I'm not sure why. So I don't know if they use them to kind of part into the other ones as they need parts for them. But they did also have the station for Shockwave. When Shockwave was taken down, they took the whole station and they moved it. And it's back there being used for storage now. It was very cool to see that.
Nice. Oh, that's so fun. They didn't let you take pictures though in there, right? That was my understanding.
We could not take pictures in the maintenance shed. We could take pictures in the storage shed. And then
Right.
we could not take pictures inside the Shockwave station either.
Yeah. So it's all just in your mind. You're just gonna remember those memories.
It's gonna live there forever in my brain.
Live in the moment. I don't know, maybe it'll helps you look at the coasters a little bit differently when you see them. Also that day was a really special presentation from IAAPA and SNS. It was Preston Perks from SNS who stuck around, and Linda Freeman, who is in charge. She works in safety. And I had heard about this. I was like, is this going to be boring? But I'm going to go and sit in the air conditioning and watch this presentation. Corey, I know that you were there as well. I thought this was fantastic. They did it at 2 separate times in the day so that if you couldn't make the first one, you could make it to the second one. I saw the first one. We actually recorded it. Um, I don't think that we're going to play it here on the podcast, but they might be able to have it on our YouTube page at a future time. TBD on that. But I thought this was fantastic. It really brought up some interesting points about what they're doing for the future of roller coasters and the future of safety. Something that was really interesting that maybe I just hadn't thought about it was that different countries have different things that they allow. They have different specifications and they call things different acronyms, the ATAS versus the EM. I don't even know. There were so many acronyms being thrown around, and all these coaster manufacturers trying to keep up, well, making an attraction or making something that would be safe in all of these different countries. I thought it was fascinating and really had brought up things that I had never thought of. Basically, though, the main message that I got out of it, especially from SNS, was if you follow the rules, the rules are there for a reason. If you follow the rules, then you'll be safe on everything that we make. There shouldn't be any problems. There shouldn't be any issues. And hey, Acers, we know that you love us. We know that you are a friend to the manufacturers and the parks and IAAPA. And so if you can do us a favor and help promote safety on roller coasters, we would appreciate that. Corey, can you tell me any takeaways that you had from the presentation? What'd you think of it?
It was fascinating. It's a different side of the industry that I don't think a lot of us kind of see firsthand to be able to hear from the experts in the room around it. I think I got a lot of the same takeaway you did, that there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes that maybe we're not aware of that are, progressing the industry as a whole, safety, harnesses, things like that. So I think, we sit as a club talking about all our favorite manufacturers and what they do with the, rides themselves and the tracks, but we don't stop to think about like the smaller things that make up the ride, right? How the harnesses work and the safety and just kind of what goes into creating those standards so that, the industry as a whole can kind of be on the same page. So I think that for me, that was the most fascinating part of all of it. Yeah, there was a lot there they talk about. I would definitely love to re-engage with the little recording you guys had of it, because I think there's so many nuances there that, I would love to kind of see again. But it was a really, really fascinating.
Maybe one day you'll log on and it'll be the next episode of the podcast. We'll just see if we can drop the whole thing, because I think that, that this is our fandom, and it was fascinating. I sat in air conditioning for an hour listening to it, and afterwards what I thought was really cool was that they took questions from the audience, and they literally, any question, and they answered it. There was nothing that was off limits. Some people even asked, there were some kids that got up and were like, why does it have to be over the shoulder restraint? Why can't it be allowed? Or like, why do I have to wear a seatbelt and Preston had the answers, and he really explained it in a very digestible way. And I just loved that, that he was so open to that. So shout out to them. And Linda Freeman, you're amazing. So thank you for hanging out with us and giving us that presentation. The other big thing that happened on day 2 was the landmark plaque ceremony for American Eagle. Can you believe that we're only on day 2? So much, when you think about how much is packed into our week. But anyway, landmark plaque ceremony for American Eagle. Tori, I'm going to throw this over to you. This is the third landmark for your home park. The first, the Whizzer, of course, is an ace landmark. And Batman is an ace landmark, and now American Eagle, maybe overdue, but here we are. What did you think about this whole about American Eagle getting this plaque?
It was very cool to get to see the ceremony. I recorded the whole thing so I can watch it back over and over again. It was a little emotional too, honestly. Again, it's a coaster that I've grown up on and I've ridden so many times. So to see it be recognized for being as special as I feel that it is for my own personal reasons was very cool.
Did you see Bugs Bunny and his
I sure did.
American flag top
I sure
hat?
did.
He's all decked out with an American look, which I thought was fabulous. Thanks, Bugs. And then wasn't Randy there? And they had a little bit of Randy, our past president, Randy Geisler, and then Johnny, you were there as well, right? What did you think of the ceremony? I thought they did such a nice job of painting that whole the colors.
Yeah, they knocked it out of the park. I mean, the plaque, just unveiling the plaque there, and I was kind of shocked with Buzz Bunny. I wasn't expecting him to show up, fully geared up in his USA outfit there. So I have pictures I was just looking at right now of Bugs waving in front of the American Eagle plaque. And I rode that coaster like so many times. I never ridden it that much as until that day, and it's still a really good, great coaster.
Yes, the plaque said, American coaster enthusiasts recognizes American Eagle as an ace roller coaster landmark, a designation reserved for rides of historical significance. During the 1970s, management of what was then known as Marriott's Great America wanted a signature record-breaking roller coaster to be visible from nearby Interstate 94. They approached European ride manufacturer Intamin to build what would become the largest and fastest roller coaster in the world at the time. This was Intamin's first wooden roller coaster project. Then it sort of gets into the people who are part of it and that it's red, white, and blue. But yeah, go ahead and check that out online. Search Ace Roller Coaster Landmark American Eagle and read that whole thing. Really beautiful. How fun that to be there too when it actually happened. How many times have you been at a park and seen a plaque, but then to be able to actually see it getting placed there, and they put up a beautiful post with the colors on it, and it was just great. All the news outlets were there. There was like some streamers. It was definitely fun. I was glad to have witnessed that. And I feel like it definitely deserves it. I mean, an Intamin wooden roller coaster, huh? Sad that it doesn't duel anymore, but it was still really fun. All right, everybody vote. Which side is your favorite side? Which side's the better side?
Yeah, I believe blue. If that's the left side. So I assume blue, I think, is the one that I like better.
I agree. Hands down, the blue side.
Why the blue side, Tori?
I might be a little biased. Blue is my favorite color.
Okay, fair.
No, I don't know. The blue side was always more fun. Coming out of the helix, there's like a nice little drop out of it on the blue side. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with blue as well. And I think, yeah, a little less rough than the red side, which I also prefer. So that was really cool. And then that night, oh wait, we're missing, of course, how could we forget? The ninth annual Rubber Ducky Regatta at Hurricane Harbor. For those of you who don't know, you can buy a rubber ducky. The proceeds go to charity, and the first place and the last place win. And they dump all of the rubber duckies at the same time into a lazy river at a water park. In this case, it was Hurricane Harbor, and you cheer for your duck. And it's just really a fun photo op, something the kids absolutely love, and just really fun. Johnny, were you there for the rubber ducky regatta?
I don't know why I love the rubber ducky regatta so much. So the last year I bought two ducks, and they were playing around and just goofing off, and they didn't win, of course. So this year I buy four, and of course they're at to the full too. So you know what? I never win, but that's okay because it is so much fun to watch all these ducks get poured into a lazy river. I don't know why it's so amazing, but it's fun, and that lazy river is massive. Like that's the biggest lazy river I've ever seen. So they actually only went around like halfway for the race because it would have taken too long for them to go the full length. So but it's so much fun to see, and I got a video of the dumping of the duckies, and of course I have my four duckies here. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Always fun. Janine Matchertz and Tom Rebbe from PGCI were sitting at the table during registration, asking everybody who walked by, "Did you get your ducky? Did you get your ducky? Did you make sure you get your ducky?" Because you can get it during registration, or you can get them at that check-in table. So I got a ducky. It also next year, Johnny, me and you will do like a Rocky thing where we like take them through training and like try to get them like I love that the duckies always have something to do. I don't know, Tori, if you know this, but the duckies that they pick always have like something to do with the area that we're in. So when it was at in California, and it was like it's in its little bathing suit and it's like sunning, and now it's like a little farmer in Indiana, I guess. So yeah, they're really cute. And I have Johnny's showing his. You can't see this, listeners, but he's showing his in the camera. Good little the numbers are placed on the bottom of the ducks, so you can't usually see where yours are, and you're just sort of like cheering just to see all the ducks. But this year they were sort of all on their side. I don't know what happened there. Just the types of ducks, they were all taking a nap as they were going, and you could kind of see where your duck was if you know which number to look for. And that was a fun little twist this year, is that we were actually able to cheer or boo our ducks as they went along. That night was ERT, my favorite night of ERT, I think. It was on Dark Knight, Superman Ultimate Flight, Triple Play, Condor, and Max Force. Y'all, front row, Max Force at night. Psh, can we talk about Max Force? I think that's my favorite coaster in the park. I think it has to be for me. What did y'all do this ERT at night? Did you get your night rides?
I did. I got night rides on Max Force. For me, it brought back memories of Hypersonic XLC. So as I was mentioning earlier, I grew up in Kings Dominion, so we had Hypersonic, and being able to experience that, air compression launch, it brought back memories. I hadn't ridden Hypersonic in, I don't know, almost 20 years, and it just brought back memories. There's something about that launch and just being, like you said, front row in the dark. It brought me back. Rode it a couple times back to back during ERT, and yeah, definitely experience that people have never done it before. It's a whole different type of launch from magnets or hydraulics.
So fun, that big boom sound. You could hear it all around the park. What about for you, Tori?
I have a new appreciation for Max Force after getting the ERTs on it. I did not get a front row night ride, but I did get 3 night rides kind of scattered about in the train, and it was so much fun. And I think just even the vibe of having all of the enthusiasts on it together just really, there's just so much energy and it really adds to the whole ride experience.
My favorite ERT is when everybody, just like you said, when vibes are high and everybody's just happy to be there and excited to have it to ourselves, have the park to ourselves and be able to kind of switch and try different rows and meet different people. That to me is always when I find a brand new friend too, right? Because we're so great with our loading. Like we don't need a single rider line. We're all just jumping in. Like everybody knows we're just all trying to get on this as much as possible, as quickly as possible. And shout out to the ride ops as well, who just brought the energy, gave us last ride of the night. Too much fun. So thank you to all of them for that. Just such a great time. Day 3, behind the scenes experiences, a Wrath of Rakshasa infield tour, Max Force infield tour. There was a Demon Wizard and Max Force walk along tour. There was a Fright Fest tour. And we had ERT on Raging Bull that morning, Viper, Justice League, Ricochet, and River Rocker. ERTs in the morning are a little harder to get me to, I'm not gonna lie. I need my morning coffee. I need to kind of like wake up a little, but what better to wake up than a roller coaster? Did anybody go to this ERT?
Oh yeah, I would not pass up Raging Bull ERTs because I love me some Raging Bull. I think I rode it like 8 times. I did not go to behind the scenes because that was an hour and a half earlier, and I'm like, that is way too early. But Raging Bull ERT all day.
So good. Such a fun ride. That I love Raging Bull as much as possible. I probably rode that the most of every coaster in the park, probably. Such a great coaster. Day 3 was also the day that you could watch the videos from ACE's video contest. Again, another thing that you can do during the time when you're there at an ACE event, or specifically at CoasterCon. Luke Fillion took over duties of the ACE video contest this year. You could send in a long form video or a short form video, and they screened them all in the theater. And then anybody who was there was able to scan a QR code and vote for their favorite videos. And there was first, second, and third place for each category. And they were all so good. And this year there was the most entries and they were really fun. People are getting really creative. I had a great time, and I believe that you can also watch those on ACE's social media, so check that out. And then the park history presentation. Former past president Randy Geisler gave a fantastic park history presentation. Thank you so much to Randy for taking the time to do that. And then it was time for the ACE business meeting. So with all the fun of coasters, sometimes it's easy to forget that ACE is a charity organization and there is business involved. There's an executive committee, there are funds, there are things that need to be voted on. Our executive committee meets multiple times through the year, but once a year at CoasterCon, a business meeting is held and open to members. Members are allowed to ask questions, make motions, let their voices be heard. And the annual report booklet is available before the meeting, and the business meeting minutes are also available on the website. So now, because this podcast is public and the business meeting is meant to be for members only, we never go into fully what was discussed, but I always like to ask our members of the podcast, especially if anybody attended the business meeting for the first time, what did you think? Did you decide to take your time out of riding roller coasters to go? What your thoughts overall were, and do you think that new members should check it out?
Yeah, I went this year to the business meeting. I had been to previous business meetings at previous cons I had attended. I hadn't been to all of them over the years, but this one I definitely went to because I just kind of want to hear what the state of the club was. And it's just a great way to kind of, like you said, hear from members, really get a sense of kind of what's going on. I think for anyone who is in the club, it's just very important to be involved and see kind of what's going on. I've also learned over the years that even if you're not at con, you can still attend the business meeting. So I always encourage people just to come listen because it's your club. It's what you are a part of. And so this year was really nice to kind of hear from all the different executive committees, what they've been working on and sort of what had happened throughout the year. So I definitely encourage it for anyone listening to always attend, even if you're not at con, but you're in the region, you can always come and attend it.
I agree. And again, those business meeting minutes will be available on the ACE website, so you can read it yourself after the fact. But if you ever feel like you want to make your voice heard, in the meantime, you can always email our executive committee. They read every email that comes into them. So don't wait for that once a year. You can always reach out throughout the year that way. Going back to the video contest, I'm realizing Johnny might have had something that he wanted to add. Johnny, did you check out the video contest?
It was the funniest thing. When the third place I volunteered with Luke for the video contest because I love the videos and I can't make a video to save my life. So I love to enjoy them and be a part of that. So I wanted to help out. And one of the volunteer opportunities was to use the iPads to pass around to people who, don't want to vote or can't vote via their phone. And they want to enter in their vote via the iPad that you pass around. So as people raise their hand, you would come along and give them the iPad and tell them to put their name and their member number in. And I hand it to a gentleman that I don't know who it is, but and I tell him put his name and his membership number. He puts his name in and he types his membership number and keeps going. I was like, oh, no, you have to put your whole membership number in. And because he only put in 2 numbers. And he said, that was my whole membership number. And I didn't know it was Reverend Cliff Herring, who is like one of the OG members of
Yeah.
ACE. And I was like, no, the whole number. No, that isn't my whole number. So it was kind of funny to be a part of the video contest and have someone vote that is one of the, people that are very honored and, to meet in person. And I met him and got to talk to him afterwards because he laughed at me after I did not realize that the numbers could go that low for ACE membership. And the video contest was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, we love Reverend Cliff here. He is a frequent guest that we've had before, and that's really funny. Yeah, our membership numbers are like in order of when we signed up, so it's wild to know that. Tori, something kind of fun happened to you at the dinner this day, and I know because I saw it happen. You were an auction winner.
I was. I'm so excited. I won the giant promotional banner for Wrath that was on the construction fence while they were building it. It is hanging in my garage. And
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
also in the commercial for it, actually. I'm like, at like 1.5 seconds, I zip by. You have to pause it to really like pick out my face, but I'm there. So it's so special for me to have it when I was in the commercial for the ride and was one of the first people to be on it.
So can you tell somebody who might not know about what the auction is and what it was like?
So it's a silent auction. It's all done online. Everything that's available is listed there. There's different parts from rides, there's bolts, there's the arrow blueprints that Preston brought were there available for auction. There were a few banners for Wrath, actually, some larger ones, some smaller ones, just a lot of really cool items that I believe were donated by the park to
They
be auctioned
were.
off to everyone. It was very cool. I'm so glad I did it. So glad I won it.
And your money all goes to charity, uh, and that's just awesome. And yeah, I saw you. I said, "What are you going to do with this?" This banner was like bigger than you. It all rolled up. I took your picture. I was like, "How are you?" You're like, "Well, I live local, so I had to do it." And that's the best part of going to a local when CoasterCon is at your home park is that you can look at the auction items and actually put them in your car and drive them home. So unlike some of us who are trying to figure out how to get them on a plane. So congratulations. I'm so glad that it went to someone who was connected to it in that way that you were. And day 3, that rounded out our time at Six Flags Great America. An incredible 3 days there. Shout out to the entire staff and all of the team that welcomed us. You were all so wonderful and we're super appreciative of it and had a great time. And I can't wait to go back and visit that park again. But I definitely got my fill of did all the coasters, everything, ate all the food, had all the fun. That was a great time. Day 4, you heard Corey talk about it a little bit. heading over to Wisconsin, got some licorice ice cream or not, or any other flavor. We're all laughing. I swear they're laughing too. You can't hear them, but they're laughing.
Don't knock until you try it. It's good.
Johnny's dying. Johnny's laughing. Okay, good. So 4 coasters at Little Amerricka. Swiss Toboggan, Chance Rides, Meteor, a PTCI wooden coaster, Little Dipper, and Mad Mouse Alan Herschel. We unfortunately had a very rainy day. That's going to be the unfortunately big bummer that you're going to hear about, I'm sure, from us. But I don't know about y'all, but we parked our car. I went into the front gate. The park was completely closed except to ACE members, which is incredible because I know so many people were concerned how all of ACE plus the general public was going to fit into Little Amerricka. It was a non-issue because it was just the ACErs. That being said, I beelined to Swiss Toboggan. Johnny, what did you do? What was your plan?
There was no bummer here because I got there 2 hours before
Oh, smart.
the park opened. I was number 4 in line for Swiss Toboggan, and they did deliver. I enjoyed Swiss Toboggan. That I don't know if Zippin' Pippin or Swiss Toboggan was the highlight of my trip because that is the most unique thing I've ever experienced on a roller coaster.
Can you describe it for our listeners who don't know what it is?
So yeah, it's so interesting being put into a little cage.
Basically, single rider in a cage.
Single rider, sitting in a cage, sort of. Yeah, with the legs, your legs are straight out instead of like sitting in a seat. It's kind of interesting, with the top coming down over you. And I just didn't know what to expect. But then you go up that vertical lift, straight up until you pop out the top. And you see everything as you're zipping down the spiral down that tube. I don't know what to call it. And then the little hills, which I was expecting there to be little airtime, ejector airtime pop if you can eject out of a cage as you're going back to the station. And I've always looked and saw this coaster watching videos, over my lifetime and thinking like, I'll never get to ride one of these because they're so rare. And to ride it for the first time, I don't know, it was great. I would have ridden it again if the line was not 2 miles long.
Yeah, it was pretty long. I mean, there's nothing they could do about that, right? It's one person there. I heard that some people were able to squish 2 people in, but I do not know how. And I also saw some people who were way taller than they were and thinking that they were not going to be able to fit in there, but they got them in. And so I think everybody who wanted to ride, just about everybody who wanted to ride it, got to ride it. If you didn't, I'm so sorry. I know the rain was a factor. At a certain point, they had to shut it down. How about for you, Corey? Did you get on Swiss Toboggan?
I did. I got there a little bit later. I had anticipated getting there right when it had opened or beforehand. Obviously, I got sidetracked with my ice cream, but I did get there, and yeah, everybody wanted to ride it, and it was nice that they will get through, a good majority of the line so people get the experience. It's definitely something different. So I had missed my last 2 toboggan opportunities. So both Lakemont and Conneaut Lake used to have one, but both times I went to those parks were just shortly after they had removed those rides. So for me, it was kind of I'm excited to get this credit finally. And yeah, I agree. Just going straight up in the small tube and then just, going in a circle down to that little air pop. It's an experience that I think is unique. I didn't think I was going to fit in it myself because I have very large hair. So when I got in and they pushed down on it, it was kind of like pushed down my hair a little bit, but we managed to get in there.
You had to push your hair down.
Push my hair down a little bit. They looked at me for a minute. They were like, we can do this, and kind of push down. I just felt kind of the afro push down a little bit when I was in there, but we made it, and yeah, it was an experience that was worth it. So yeah.
Tori, how about you? Had you been to Little Amerricka before?
No, it was my first time there. I have not been to a park that's anything like that. It was a very different experience. I was one of the ones that crammed 2 onto the toboggan. Uh,
What?
we wanted speed. We're like, we want to get, if we can get more weight in here to go faster down this thing, like we're gonna do it. It was a very tight fit, but we did it. It was fun. It was wild.
Wild. And what was interesting is because it's so quiet, it was like quiet, right? Because it was just acers in the park. I don't remember there really being music. Maybe that was because of the possibility of rain. You could hear if anybody even like grunt, like mumbled in the car. So I don't know about y'all, but I felt on display too as I was going on this thing. I was like normally I would be like, woo, and I felt like everybody was watching me. But it was so much fun. And I'm glad that they were able to get as many people through as they did with the rain looming. Also had a great time on Meteor. I saw, what is it called when they have like the lever for the brakes? They had one of those, a guy like going and he had to pull like three level levers to do the brakes on that coaster. And he was talking to us, and he was really funny and saying that if we wanted, because you go around, I think is it twice or three times? It's three times, yeah. One of the times he was like, if you want, maybe I'll just like not use the brakes and see if you can tell a difference. We're like, do it. So if you won't get fired, do. And so that was really fun. He sort of let us feel what it felt like to not use the brakes, and he was showing us how he does his job just because we were asking and because we're nerds. There were also some other kind of like really nifty things at this park, like the display of the Lincoln Park Comet car. Did you all see that? There was a model of this coaster from North Attleboro, Massachusetts, which is right near where I grew up. And this coaster that used to be there, the Comet. And that was really neat that they just sort of had this car there under a tent in the middle of this park. Um, the graveyard in the park. Did anybody go over and explore the graveyard? Because I did. I went and I decided, you know what? They're laughing at me. They're just so you know, listeners, they're all on mute laughing at me. I'm gonna find the little hidden Easter eggs of any park that I go to. And if you tell me that Lee Merrick, born 1919, died 2011, is buried in the graveyard next to his park, I'm going to go and visit his grave. And that's just the way it is, listeners. And so I did. And he's got like a tomb over there. And there's a quote on the side of his grave. Did anybody know what the quote is? No, they're all shaking their head. It was, "It's a Barnum and Bailey world, just as phony as it can be." Interesting, right? Also, I should point out, Lee Merrick is the name of the man who created this park. If the name Little Amerricka, Amerrick, if you kind of look at that and it bothers you a little bit, makes you feel maybe a little uncomfortable, it did to me. And so I did a little bit of research before going. And in case you don't know this, it's named that because of Lee Merrick. Merrick is his last name, Merrick. So America and Little Amerricka is a play on the fact that Great America was the big park nearby. And so his name is Merrick. And so they called it Little Amerricka. So that's the name of the car. Thought that was a interesting fun fact. That being said, the current owner of the park has said that he would love to come on the podcast and tell us more about Little Amerricka. So I hope he is able to do that and we are able to get that together and get that out for the listeners really soon, because I bet he has a ton more stories about this park with the two Alan Herschel coasters. Did you all ride everything? Tell me some stories about this day from y'all's point of view.
I love that little Mad Mouse, that Alan Herschel Mad Mouse, because I was thinking, oh yeah, I've been on many mouse coasters, Wild Mouse, you know. No, this is different. This mouse is crazy. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's more of a unique mouse coaster than most people would have, ridden before. Little Dipper, that was it's a really small coaster, so I mean I think it really fits a niche in the park where, obviously little people aren't going to go ride Swiss toboggan. They need something, and Little Dipper is a nice little coaster for them.
Yeah, likewise, I really enjoyed the Wild Mouse as well. I actually got the final ride at night on it. A lot of Ace members had already left, and I felt like I wanted to get a few more rides. The rain was coming down, but they still had it open, and so got a very wet and wild ride. Last ride on the Wild Mouse, it was zooming along. But I just think overall the park had really unique and exciting rides. I don't know if anybody got a chance to go through the little haunted house dark ride. It was kind of unassuming. It was just this little house on the side, and if you didn't know that was the dark ride or the dark walkthrough, you would have noticed it. Very unique in there, very fun. And then, the Rolo plane that they had, you don't get to see those too often, and it was running beautifully. So just, even some of the flat rides that the park had really kind of surprised me. They were just super fun, even in the rain, laughing and giggling the whole time. So really enjoyed the park.
Yes, to that haunted house that would have terrified me as a kid. And yeah, that Rolo plane, the Irely Aircraft Company Rolo plane, was called Test Pilot. And I laughed so hard watching people ride this thing. There's no seatbelts inside that. Somebody just go ahead and Google it if you're listening right now, if you're near a computer. You have to Google and see this thing. It doesn't look like much. It was the people who were in there were getting tossed all over the place. Tori, do I remember correctly that you went on it as well? And maybe you got bruised or something?
I did. I went on it twice, and it was while it was raining because they did run it in the rain. And it was wild. I made it on all the coasters. I made it on a few of the flat rides, but I have to say that was definitely my favorite ride there. And anytime you spun around the top, the rain was just pelting you through the opening. It was it was wild. It was so much fun though. I haven't been on a rollerplane before. It was my first time, and I'm so glad I went on it.
It looked crazy. I didn't get a chance to do it, but I got a lot of video footage of it and was laughing hysterically watching everybody do it. So I'm glad to hear that you got on it and somehow lived to tell the tale. That night back at the Great Wolf Lodge was the Ace Banquet. It was the last year that Janine and Mike Matcherts will be sort of putting it together. They had been doing it now for 10 years. Thank you so much to Janine and Mike for all that you did. Marcus LeShock, the reporter, was there, and I felt like he was talking straight to me as someone who also kind of does very similar things to what he does. Obviously, he does it for a news station, and I do it as like content creation, but it was so cool to hear from, he's like just a regular guy, like a reporter guy who just works at a news station, but he's obsessed with roller coasters and he's constantly pitching them like, send me here so I can ride this roller coaster, send me here so I can ride this roller coaster. And he's had a ton of really fascinating experiences. Tori, do you know who Marcus LeShock is? He's like popular there where you live, right?
He is, yeah, he's local, which to be honest, I don't follow the local news a ton. But I definitely know who he is and who he was before the banquet.
Yeah, he was a phenomenal speaker. He had to leave because he was supposed to be on set at 2 a.m. and he's there talking to ACE members at like 8 o'clock at night. So we were like, go. But I got to meet him a few weeks later at Cedar Point. So that was really amazing. And there were the video and photo contest winners were announced. There was, as there always is, an honorary membership given out. And the Spirit of Ace Award was given very well deservingly to our girl, Sherry Armstrong. Sherry, we love you. Congratulations. Well deserved. I was surprised you hadn't already gotten it. So congratulations to Sherry on that. Between, though, Little Amerricka and the banquet, or Indiana Beach, I should say, Johnny, you snuck in a credit. You snuck in a credit, did you not?
Yeah, I was headed back into Illinois from Wisconsin, and I said, I could probably get to another place that is on the way, Tiger Terror at Safari Land.
What is that?
It's this random little family entertainment center, but it has this Tiger Terror ride. It looks like, your normal basic family coaster. But it is actually this is the last year that it's going to be operating. They're actually removing it. And I wanted to make sure to get in there to ride this because it's a family coaster that is a little bit less family friendly. It's a little jarring, and it was a lot of fun. So I had to sneak in another credit.
As it out of curiosity, Johnny, what do you use to find random coaster credits like that?
Coaster-count.com.
You do? Okay. I'm a log ride girl myself. I know we all have our own methods. I search on the map on log ride and just see what's close to me and start zooming in. Well, that's fun. And yeah, and Marcus Leshock, how great was he, Johnny?
Yeah, living in Chicago, I actually did watch WGN where he is, broadcast on, and I'm a shock fan because he's so funny. I don't know I don't know what it is, but his personality is so great, and his videos of roller coasters obviously is what made him famous. And to see him speak in person was really great. I got to speak with him in line when we were getting in line for the buffet and everything. And he's so personable and just a friendly guy. But he has great stories because he rides coasters all over the place, just like we do.
Yeah, he's one of us for sure. I loved he showed some video, which I thought was really great. You know, a lot of times speakers can come and just sort of speak and speak and speak, but he had sort of audio visuals to go with what he was saying. And one of the videos that he had was like videos that inspired him to be an on coaster reporter, and like back in the day where they didn't have people setting up rigs on coasters. They had literally a guy holding a camera in his arms and holding a boom microphone behind. And so he showed an old school setup like that, which just blew my mind. And then also some coaster footage that they got from the 70s where people were just like sitting on the lift hill chilling. Did you see that, Johnny? We were all just like dying, right? He's nodding, listeners. And we're like, what are they doing? It was just like random general public who just decided to like climb up the coaster and chill, and no one was kicking them off. Times have changed. You want to talk about coaster safety? Times certainly have changed.
Those were the days.
Were they? Those were the days, dot, 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 that people got hurt. Those were the days. But a great night, a great banquet. Day 5 brought us over to Indiana Beach. 7 coaster credits here. Only 6 of them were open, though. And actually, when we first got there, only 5 of them were open, but we'll tell you about that in a second. Cornball Express, Hoosier Hurricane, Lost Coaster of Superstition Mountain, those are all CCI. Steel Hog, HAWG, which is the S&SL local. Is it Tiger or Tigger? I never really heard.
Tiger,
the Schwarzkopf Jet Star. And then at first, All American Triple Loop was down, the Schwarzkopf Custom. That was down, but they were able to get it open for us on our day 6, which was just incredible. But we'll get to that. And Cyclone, the SDS, that was closed on the beach. This park, I felt like, as someone who lives in California and is a little closer than y'all to Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, I felt like this was someone who like went to Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk and said, "Hey, we got like a lake back in Indiana. We could put a place like that here on the beach." I know that's not what happened, but that's what it felt like to me. I loved Indiana Beach. Tori, I want to hear your thoughts on Indiana Beach.
It's such a fun little park, and there's something there for everyone. There's some good flat rides. There's the actual beach that you can go in that has the lake water. There's the water park. There's the lazy river, which they call the action river. There's some fun coasters. There's something there for everyone. Lost Coaster was wild. It was something else. That was a whole experience. Riding that backwards might have been my highlight of the Indiana Beach Con.
Oh my gosh. That coaster, because it used to be a dark ride, was my understanding. And then CCI came in, I guess, made it a roller coaster. But so many people wanted this coaster as their milestone credit. I think I know at least 4 who got milestone credits on this coaster. What a weird, fun, crazy. And then if you're facing forward, you can see the animatronics. And if you're backwards, oh my gosh, you can't see anything. And you're in for like the wildest ride ever. Was that your experience as well?
And I think it was in the dark too. I just could
Yeah.
not see anything. I had no clue what was happening next. It was so much fun.
It was so fun. I also really loved Cornball Express. Why did I think that was going to be a kiddie coaster for some reason? Maybe by the name. Johnny shaking his head. No, it was not. Johnny, what was your opinion of Indiana Beach at Cornball?
Yeah, I've been to Indiana Beach before, and Cornball was my favorite before, and I had to get a ride on Cornball first. That was my first stop, and it still is great. I love a good Woody like that, and I don't know, Hurricane is just not as good as Cornball. I mean, I love Cornball Express. So, but Lost Coaster, yeah, that's for sure. Such an interesting experience. I love it every time. It's nothing like riding with people that have not been on it before because it's kind of fun to ride with them and see their expression. I mean, you're facing each other, so you get to see what their expression is. And unfortunately, I was not there when American Triple Loop opened, so I've never ridden that. So
Oh,
yeah, that's painful.
you got to get back. You got to get
I
back.
know, I got to go back.
Corey, I know you were having a blast. I saw you on a bunch of the flat rides at Indiana Beach. Tell me about your experience. What are your overall thoughts on Indiana Beach?
I love the park. I thought it was really unique. I took early in the first day, I took the sky ride from one side to the other, just get a lay of the park itself. And it's just beautiful up there because you can see kind of throughout the lake. You can see the rides to the left of you. I actually did the sky ride a few times. And what I loved about it was if you go in one direction, I believe it was towards the pavilion on the other side, you like pass right by Lost Coaster. So as the things zooming by you, you can literally like just see it like a few feet away. And it's just really cool to see everybody's expressions. And that coaster itself, I didn't know much about it. I rode my first time backwards as well at night, and I was like, "Where are we going? Let's just keep this going. Let's have fun." It was definitely worth the experience. But the flat rides were great. The flyers that were right by the lake were really nice. I think they had like a lobster type ride, just like Great America had. They had their own version of that. That was really great. That opened up for ERT on that second night, which was really cool, and it was all lit up. And I have to say, really, beyond the flat rides, even the water park itself, that lazy river, that Action River, definitely should not be slept on. It's aptly named Action River. There's quite a few areas where you really get pushed along, and just the layout and everything. So I think the park has a little bit of everything. It surprised me in how unique everything there was. It kind of had kind of personality and just felt very appropriate for what it was trying to get across. So
Did anyone ride the bumper cars? Because sleeper hit that. So the veteran meetup was actually at bumper cars, and it's this long cycle. I mean, it's unreal, like how long they get. You get to go around on the bumper cars, and just how there's like a middle area where you can zip through. And I don't know, it was unique. Like a lot of people didn't go there because why go to bumper cars? No, it's different. So yeah, Indiana Beach is a unique place.
I
I
really loved it.
I did get to do the bumper cars that final night during ERT, and yeah, cycle was very long, and he was actually running even longer for us. It was fun because it was kind of like hop on, hop off. Like he just kept it going indefinitely until another Acer came in, and he'd be like, "You want to get on?" He would stop it for a minute. People pop on, but it was like 15-minute cycles. We were doing bumper cars, so it was super cool.
Yeah, they were just great people there, the ride ops, everybody working the park, super friendly, loved having us there. I loved seeing the boats going by, the jet skis, the water skiing, the tubing. I myself also did the lazy river, top notch. Yes, love it. I think I did just about everything there. I played Fascination. They had a fun Fascination Hall, the game with the rolling and the balls, of course. Did not win at all, but I had fun playing. Won another squishy toy at a claw machine because apparently that's my game now. I had too much fun. That first night was ERT on Lost Coaster, Cornball Express, the gondola wheel, the flying bobs, the water swings, paratrooper, and antique autos. And also that first day at Indiana Beach, we had the Midway Olympics. It started down, they always carry the torch. I believe Cliff Herring was one of the people, right, carrying the torch this year. I forget who else was there. And they marched down over to the Midway, and Midway Olympics is where you can sign up. Again, this is just optional. You can sign up during registration with a team. You have a team name and a team of about, I think, 5 people. And you all basically play different Midway games and get a certain amount of points. And then the winners are announced at the end of day 6. I did not get to compete this year. I didn't put a team together in time. I was too busy. But did anybody get to compete in the Midway Olympics or play or?
I did. So this year I decided to compete. Most years I kind of play like the trainer. I'm usually like Mickey to Rocky in these circumstances, but this year I got to be Rocky myself and be a part of it. It was fun. There was a lot of different a lot of great games this year that they put together. I think what everybody was most excited for was the ladder climb. I think that was something that was completely different from what we do usually on these Midway Olympics, and it was very exciting to see everyone try to accomplish that. It's a very hard, very hard Midway Olympic event, but
Did
it was
anyone
fun.
do it? Did anyone get it?
No one got it. No one got it. Everybody thought they could do it. People were like, kind of machoing up. They're like, okay, I got this. I'm going to do my little plan here. And then we get like halfway up and just completely fall over. It was a challenge, but it was fun to see everybody try to accomplish it. Midway Olympics, always a lot of fun. It's fun to be a part of it.
Yeah, I love usually doing it because then, you walk by the Midway sometimes you're like, I could do that, or I feel like that's impossible. But then when actually given the task to do it, you figure out what actually nobody gets. Like, I never have seen anybody actually toss a ring onto a bottle. I've never seen it happen, but I saw plenty of people like throwing the balls into the baskets and things like that, just getting some extra practice on those. It's always fun. I'm going to sign up next year if anybody wants to be on my team. You let me know because I'm going to put together a team. But what a great first day at Indiana Beach. And then the last day, day 6, always the saddest. ERT in the morning on Hoosier Hurricane, Tiger, Air Crow, Sea Dragon, Sea Warrior, Scrambler, and Tilt-A-Whirl. And I had done an interview that morning with one of the social media people for the park, and they hinted to me that All-American Triple Loop might open. And then suddenly there were rumors going around. It was like this big dramatic thing. Everybody's texting everybody, oh my gosh, they're testing it. There was some sort of something that happened where the part, I don't know. I don't want, you know what? I'm not going to spread rumors on here, but something had happened where they didn't have the right part the first day, but it came on the second day and they opened it only to acers. So the general public was not able to go on All-American Triple Loop that day. But if you were there, which Johnny, sorry that you weren't, but for those of us who were there, don't cry, you'll get back on it again. We had so much fun. Able to do it. Obviously, they ran one train, and so it was just acers lining up and getting on, and we got to do it. Corey, did y'all get to do it?
I did. I did it twice, and I am so glad. I also heard the rumors that it was hopefully opening up soon, so I just was watching it all day long, and as soon as I saw it testing, ran over there to get in line. I'm like, if this thing opens, I need to make sure that I get on it. And then also went back later in the day once the line went down. I wanted to make sure that everyone that wanted to get on it had a chance to get on it. But later in the day, the line was super short, went back on it again. I got on it once in the front row and once in the back row.
What'd you think?
It was a lot of fun. I was telling people that it hurts so good. It's smooth. It's not rough, but it's definitely aggressive. There's some hard turns. You definitely get jolted around a little bit, but it's a really fun coaster. I'm glad I got on it.
A really fun coaster, a tough credit. Corey, how about you?
Yeah, I was able to get a ride on it. I had heard through the grapevine that people were lining up by it, and I was like, oh, okay, let's go over there and see what's going on. So me and my group ran over, and we got towards the front and waited in that hot sun just to get the official confirmation that it was opening. So we got, towards the front of the line and we were able to get our one ride on it. But yeah, everything I heard about those type of rides and about how aggressive but fun they are, it kind of lived up to the hype. I was excited that we were able to get that experience, and I hope they are able to kind of get that going for future generations to keep it going. It's definitely an iconic ride. So
Yeah, good for them. One thing I really admired learning about Indiana Beach was how big into preservation they were and how many of those attractions that they had in their park were actually from other parks, whether they were rides that they had salvaged or, kept up. So I just shout out to them and for that kind of being their jam. They also had, I just want to throw out like a really great bar overlooking the ocean with a restaurant. They had trivia going for us. They had karaoke. They're just a fun time. It's just a fun place. I would recommend a visit there to literally anyone. Spend 2 days there, hang out on the beach, and just have a good time. By beach, we mean lake, but this counts as it's beach. It's beachy enough. So I loved Indiana Beach. I will miss it. That night, the lights on tour of the haunted house. I think we all did that. They turned the lights on, and so you could kind of see a little bit of behind the scenes of what they did there. That was really cute and cool and fun. Another haunted walkthrough, and the nice thing that they did for Ace there, letting us do that. I actually was hanging out behind a corner getting video of people doing one particular thing that was scary. If you can remember, I don't want to spoil it for anyone listening, but me and Derek sort of like worked together on it on trying to get people. We got Chris Roberry really, really good. We got really great footage of him thinking that something was going to happen to him. It was really, really funny. So we won't be sharing those on any social media. Those are just for our own personal enjoyment. But so grateful to Indiana Beach for letting us do that. And then ERT that night to close everything out, to close out an amazing week with all the goodbyes and the hugs and whatever on All American Triple Loop until they had to close it down. Music Express, Falling Star, Dodgem, Den of Lost Thieves, and Double Shot, and of course Steel Hog, which I closed out my CoasterCon marathoning. That SNS El Loco. I love an El Loco. That was really fun for me. Had a great night. So thank you to Indiana Beach. Post-con, I think Corey and Tori, you both did some post-con things. You went to Holiday World, is that right? Will you tell us about it?
yeah, so they had PostCon at Holiday World. It was probably, I was excited for all of CoasterCon, but I was really, really excited to get to Holiday World. I had never really been before. It was the first visit for me, and everybody had always talked really highly of all the coasters there, with obviously Voyage being the number one experience everyone needs to kind of have there. But just from the moment we were there in the morning to the evening when we had the RT, the park just shined. I mean, it's clean, it's beautiful, it's themed extremely well. All the wind coasters are amazing. Legend is fun in its own right. It's got, some charm, some character. It's just a lot of fun. And I love Sleepy Hollow, so anything with that is always going to be exciting for me. But it's just for such a, I don't say small park, but such a tightly packed park that has beautiful theming and just the rides. I mean, it's gorgeous. I really enjoyed also just kind of what they did for us in the evening. They had like a little reception that was sort of just for us, where they served some food, some amazing meatballs. I have to say, the meatballs they gave us were just delicious. We got to have other good stuff like drinks they put together. They gave us a full scoop of like Dippin' Dots inside like a little gravy bowl. I mean, it was just kind of like really great to see them go out for that, all out for us for that post-con event. Highlight definitely though was the ERT at night on Voyage. Everybody had told me that, nighttime Voyage rides are magical, life-changing, and we got notice about halfway through we had like a little picnic before we had the evening reception, and they told us during that little picnic that they were going to turn the trims off. So we had trimless night rides on Voyage. And I had ridden one ride earlier that day and I loved it, but I was like, okay, let me see what this nighttime is, see if it's overhyped or truly lives up to it. And I remember we went up the hill, we were going through the woods. I couldn't even tell you what was happening. We got back to the brake run and everybody just kind of like sat there for a second going, what did we just ride? The guy behind me was like, I need a cigarette. Like it was just this whole thing where like everybody was like, what did we just do? And, because it was just us, the RT for just Ace members, and that was one of the rides amongst a few other ones. I think wing coaster, and then also Dark Eye was open for us. But just having to be able to marathon voyage back to back and not have any wait or lines and having that trimless experience. I got 8 rides an hour, and it's the one ride I still think I'm like, I want to go back and do that again. It was like the beautiful like nightcap to the CoasterCon week. For me, it was life changing. I keep thinking about that ride day in, day out. So.
That sounds incredible. I'm so happy they took the trims off for you guys. They had to. Like, that was so great that they did that. I just love that park for doing that for you. How about for you, Tori? What was that experience?
It was my first time at the park, and I'm so glad that I did post-con. I was really, really hoping that they would run Voyage trimless, which is really why I went. I wanted to go to Hollywood Nights, but it's so hard to get into. So that was I'm like, this is my chance. I really hope they run it trimless. If not, if anything, I'll have a great day at the park. And I love the theming. It's such a fun park. And there's nothing like walking into a park and it's 97 degrees, feels like 106 with the humidity, and it's Christmas. There's Christmas music playing, the decorations. It's just incredible. There's a good solid lineup of coasters. Having the ERTs at the water park was really nice too before dinner, since it was such a hot day. Getting some time to cool off was really great. There were some fun tube rides there too. The water coaster was fun. And then Trimless Voyage was, of course, just the highlight of it. I intentionally did not ride Voyage during the day. I waited until the night ERTs. So now I can say that I have only ridden Voyage trimless.
Whoa. Yeah, okay, that's cool. That's cool.
That's my big brag. And it's just it's incredible. I did everything else. I did all the other coasters during the day, so I didn't go to any of the other ERTs. I just marathon Voyage. I got on it 11 times.
How's your bag? You okay?
I felt great. I felt great the whole time. It was mind-blowing. I probably could have gotten a couple more rides, but I really wanted my photo on it, my first ride on it. So I did jump out to go and grab my photo. And it's crazy, especially in the dark. Like Corey was saying, you have no idea what's happening. You don't know which way you're going, which way you're about to go. It's pitch black. You're just along for the ride. And it's incredible. It's my new number one now.
I love it. What a week you had, Tori, from this being your first ACE event, signing up, going to orientation, not knowing anybody, and then closing it out, Voyage Trimless, your new number one, all these new friends. We're gonna close out the podcast shortly, but I just want to go to all three of you and just give your final thoughts on the week, favorite moments, favorite coaster, just any like major takeaways, things that you want our listeners to know. Tori, I'll start with you.
I know that everyone says this, that everyone says that they go to con for the coasters and then they stay for the people, and that just could not be more true. I really feel like I found my people going to con. I have a group chat that we're in there every single day now. We're always talking about not even just coasters. We're just truly real friends now. We're planning a trip back to Great America. We're planning a trip to Cedar Point. There's a couple of us that are going to go to Celebrate America next month. It was just such an incredible experience, even aside from the coasters.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm jealous of the group chat. Corey, Corey, your turn.
Yeah, I would echo, you come for the coaster, stay for the friendships. I've met so many great people over the years throughout the different events and cons I've gone to. It's always a pleasure and real treat to kind of meet up with people that you see year to year and really get the rides with them. It was a very long week. Like I said, I did pre and post con. Plus, I also did those additional coasters in the area, Wisconsin and Kentucky. And so, it definitely is exhausting, but it's worth every moment of it. 10 days of back-to-back coasters. And at the end, you can feel super accomplished that you got to get to some, really well-known parks. You get to ride some of the most well-known coasters with people who love it, with you. Like, I think every year I always say it's gonna be hard to be doing this as I get older, do 8-10 day coaster excursions, but I always find a way to make it happen, and I just enjoy it. I look forward to next year. I don't think anything will top Voyage, but I am excited to really just see kind of what's gonna happen in the New England region. Never been, so really excited for it.
And how about for you, Johnny?
You definitely come for the people. And one of the fellow Acers that I met, Michael Dutter, where he's also turned 50 this year, and we found out we both love classic carousels. So last year we did the brass ring carousel at Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Well, this year during the Indiana Beach Day, we peeled away to ride the Cass County Carousel in Indiana, right pretty close to Indiana Beach, and it's one of the 17 brass ring carousels in the country. So we got to get a brass ring during the Coaster Con because we went and decided to do that and, try to get some other people to go, but everyone was into the coasters. That's fine. But I tell you what, it was the most beautiful carousel I think I've ever seen. It's my second brass ring. Now I have a ring from 2 Coaster Cons in a row. And that was special. So don't miss out on Cass County Denzel Carousel in Indiana if you go there.
Oh, I'm jealous of that too. I'm a carousel person myself. Oh, I'm so jealous. That sounds amazing. The truth is, I've got to get back to Indiana, but I cannot wait for you all to go next year to New England. But before that, and of course, coming up very soon, August 8th through 10th is Preservation Conference that is happening here in SoCal. Come visit your girl, Jessica. We're going to Six Flags Magic Mountain. We're going to SeaWorld San Diego, and we're going to Belmont Park to celebrate 100 years of the Giant Dipper, and then a little post-PresCon at Knott's Berry Farm. If you can get here, I'll be here for all of it. And signups, registration closes July 24th. So hopefully you're listening to this podcast before then, and you can go ahead and register. But right now, I want to thank Tori Sereika, Corey Brown, and Johnny McWilliams. Thank you all so much for joining me today and telling me your experiences. We appreciate it so much. And we'll hope to have you back on the podcast talking about something else sometime soon. And to everybody listening, we don't want you to miss out on any of the events, so don't forget to check the website regularly, ridewithace.com. Remember that ACE is everywhere you consume your social media, and so you can stay on top of ACE news and coaster and park news and hear what your ACE membership has to offer and what's going on in the coaster community around the world. And if you haven't joined ACE, what are you waiting for? Memberships are still always available on the website. Thank you all for listening. Hope you get to ride a coaster today.
Ride With Us is produced by the American Coaster Enthusiasts, a registered 501c3 organization. Visit ridewithace.com for additional information, and we will see you at the parks.